Has Kathy Griffin, this unknown comedian, become a Muslim? Are you following what I'm talking about? She's the one who held up. I can't even talk about it. I literally can't talk about it. I'm going to take a welcome to the program. Ooh, this is dark. I'm Randall Terry. This is Voice of Resistance. Welcome to the program. I am going to apologize at the beginning because I'm so upset that some of what I'm going to say will sound disjointed. I might get a little too intense for some people. I don't know, but I'm going to apologize ahead of time because this is truly upsetting. You may have heard the news by now that Kathy Griffin, who is a comedian and hosts some of CNN's coverage of New Year's Eve, she recently, in the last 48 hours, released a video and snapshots. We're not going to show them. If you have small children in the room, I suggest you have them leave the room. So, dun 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 dun. Turn camera. Dun 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 dun. All right. So, she held up or she created an image of her holding up the head, the severed, bloody head of President Trump. And it wasn't one of those silly rubber masks that you see put over someone's face. It was, somebody took a lot of time to make it an artistic rendition of President Trump's head. And she was holding it in her hand in the exact pose that the ISIS devout Muslims do, the devout Muslims who behead various Americans. So she released this video and released this image. And of course, there's some backlash. Now, I'm going to come at this from several different angles. Let's just start with her. Bad things are going to happen to this woman. Bad things. I guarantee you, I haven't read it, but I guarantee you that she's getting more death threats now than she knows what to do with. And I also predict, I could be wrong, but I wouldn't be surprised if there are people that are making these threats who really want her dead, number one. And number two, the people that might really try and bring harm to her, if they are out there, they're not leaving a cyber trail, okay? So those that are concerned for her safety, it's not the people that are tweeting, "I'm going to kill you." It's not the people that are posting it on Facebook or on YouTube. Those are not the people she has to worry about, okay? We'll come back to that. The press is reporting that the Secret Service may be opening investigation against her. I don't think that the president would allow charges to be pressed if someone asked him, because then he will be accused of whining, "Hey, man up, President Trump." You're going to hear people talking about the double standard. Let's talk about this for a minute. If somebody held up an image, all right, of President Obama's severed head, what do you think the reaction would be from Oprah Winfrey to Chuck Todd? Dan Rather, what do you think the reaction would be? Now, again, we're not talking about, and I thank Mark Dice for pointing this out, we're not talking about a guy showing an image of George Bush, or not an image rather, but their body in effigy, hanging them in effigy. Hanging someone in effigy it's been going on literally since the Revolutionary period. And what it means, the political speech means that this person has committed treason. That the person who we're hanging in effigy, whether it's Barack Obama or George Bush, because both of them were hung in effigy, that this president or this individual has committed a treasonable act. We did it with Lindsey Graham. If you find that picture and put it up there, if you would, of Lindsey Graham being hung in effigy because of his treachery against the babies. I was involved in this. You can see the picture there of one of my associates. It's political speech. It means You're a traitor. Doesn't mean we want to kill you. Everyone knows what it means. But what's the political message of Kathy Griffin holding up what she did with blood, fake blood all over it? What's the political message? We get the political message of hanging someone in effigy. What's her message? I'm going to tell you when I come back. Have Muslim terrorists hijacked the peaceful religion of Islam? Or is there more to the story? The answer lies in the life of one man, Muhammad, the founder of Islam. Muslim terrorists see themselves inside a 1,400-year-old story, a narrative that focuses on specific events in the life of Muhammad. We are going to look at Muhammad's life using their most sacred literature. We will look at Muhammad at the Battle of Badr. We'll see him deal with those who mock him. We'll see the times when he used deception. We'll witness Muhammad's anti-Semitism. And yes, we will discuss Muhammad and his teachings concerning sex, slavery, and jihad. Friend, if you want to understand Islamic terrorism, get this series today. Welcome back, friend. I'm Randall Terry. So what is the message of Kathy Griffin? Now, we've established what the message is if you hang a president in effigy, okay? It's been done to Barack Obama. It's been done to George Bush the younger. We did it with Lindsey Graham. We never did it with Obama. We talked about it. We debated it and discussed it. But the problem was that it had too much of the KKK black lynching thing, and I couldn't. It felt like it was too much. Although the political message had value, the problem is it got muddy because he was African American. This is totally different. And if someone can't see that this is totally different, then they're willfully blind. And the reason is because this is the means of murder used by Muslim terrorists, okay? This has no connection to American history and the founding of the Republic, okay? Patriots prior to the Revolution hung people in effigy. They just did. It's part of our political heritage. Cutting off someone's head is a part of the bloody demonic heritage of Islam. So she went out of our narrative, out of our storyline, and embraced a storyline that is full of rape and murder and bloodshed, and then does it to our president, a sitting president. What is the message? I want this man dead? I wish that he was decapitated? I mean, and did you hear what happened to poor Barron, the president's son? All right, the boy's 11 years old. He was watching the television, watching one of the news channels, and the image came up. He started to call out for his mom. He didn't know what happened. I mean, this is a 10 or 11-year-old boy. Now, you can tell intent, you can tell message by the reaction of those people around Kathy Griffin. CNN did a panel. I'm not going to waste my valuable time showing their stupid panel. So Jake, whatever his name is, gets on. You know, he seems like he's a little bit troubled, but he's got a panel of 3 experts. See, this is how you know it's fake. This is how you know it was a complete setup. Jake's like, this is really disturbing. And then the 3 panelists all say, this is no big deal. This is nothing. I can't get worked up about this. I can't. We've got important stuff to cover. Ah! You foul, despicable hypocrites. Wait till they start cutting off Kathy Griffin's head in effigy. Okay? Let's see what, or Bill Clinton or Chelsea Clinton or Hillary Clinton. That's what they need to do. Have somebody, just, you know, any of the lunatics here watching or in studio, theater of the mind, have them do this to Hillary. She has a Secret Service detail constantly. She's a former First Lady, former presidential candidate. She has a Secret Service detail until the day she dies, okay? So if they think that this is no big deal, then maybe somebody from the right wing, of course, you don't want to repay evil for evil. There is an ethical problem. But let's just, for the sake of discussion, let's see the reaction of Hillary being decapitated and blood all over the image of her head. What if they'd have done it first? What do you think that panel of CNN would have said? There were people that were outraged that right-wingers were discussing openly Hillary being prosecuted and put in jail for her security breaches. All right? If you watch any news, you know that there's all kinds of stuff going on right now with that young man, Seth, I forget his last name, who was the WikiLeaks leak, who was shot, killed. So when people discuss the fact that the Clintons or some of the high-ups in the Democratic Party may be close to political assassinations, they are outraged. How could you even discuss this? How could you say this? Let's see how they react. Let's see how Dan Rather reacts. Let's see how he prays if somebody decapitates an image of Hillary and puts it online. Friend, I want to talk to two distinct groups of people: those who can make a contribution and those who need a scholarship. This program takes money, and I'm asking those of you who can make a contribution to help us. But you're not just supporting this show, you're supporting people who want access to this information, and guess what? We give it to them for free. You can get my writings on Islam. You can get my book, A Humble Plea. You can get multiple teaching series on how to do a press conference, how to run for office, how to be a public advocate. Go to our website. We've got shows reaching all the way back to 2010, which are cataloged by topic. So, for those of you who can help us with this broadcast, please make a contribution. The rest of you, go to the website. The stuff is for free. And if you want to call in your contribution, call 304-289-3700. A few years ago, we burned Harry Reid and Nancy Pelosi in effigy. In fact, no, it was Nancy Pelosi Goes to Hell. That's what it was. If you can find that image, go ahead and put it up. So this was not a threat against their physical body or anything like that. It was basically, you guys are going to hell for promoting child killing, okay? And that's just sound theology. If you die with blood on your hands for having participated in the murder of innocent babies, think Herod, think the soldiers who killed the babies in Bethlehem, and think the lake of fire, okay? I think it's pretty sound theology. When we did that, Nancy Pelosi whined and cried and talked about it on TV, and there was commentary from other congressmen. Oh, how horrible. What a new level we've sunk to. All right, let's see what Nancy Pelosi says about this. Now, listen to me. This is so far over the edge that the leadership of the Democratic Party is meeting or talking about it right now on the phone. Right now. Right now, they're talking about, do we react? Do we issue a condemnation? George Clooney, he's talking. I don't think he's that smart. I really don't. But I think he's smart enough to know, well, if somebody had done this to Obama, what would we say? Oh, gee, George, what if they did it to you? So I think that where we're headed, and I thank the Billy Bob in the next room over, in the control room, there will be people, all right? You can watch it over the next week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. There's gonna be people who say, George Clooney, do you denounce this or not? And then they're going to take a George Clooney thing and they're going to go, and they're going to do the ISIS drill that Kathy Griffin did. And if it's no big deal, then it's no big deal. You can't have it both ways, you whining little wusses. You can't have it both ways. Now, I'm going to come at this from a completely different angle, but I am not a prophet. I am not a prophet's son, but I am going to prophesy until the prophet come. I heard that limerick from a great, Bob Mumford, a great evangelical preacher, talking about the book of Hosea, if my memory is correct. We're headed for severe upheaval. That is my prediction. Read David Walker's Appeal. David Walker was a black man in Boston, and my memory is the 1830s, who wrote a book predicting the Civil War. Okay? Unthinkable at the time. The guidance of the Holy Spirit, the prophetic utterances are mind-boggling. So, I think that I've said this on the program before, I'm just saying it again. I think that we're headed for bloodshed. I think that we're headed for some level of civil war. It won't be like the war between the states with sides. It's going to be much more chaotic. It's going to be ethics driven. There will be politicians involved. I believe that there are going to be assassinations. I'm just predicting it, friends. And the reason is because bloodshed sown means that bloodshed will be reaped. And we have murdered people like Kathy Griffin, who believe in the murder of babies. We have murdered some 60 million children by abortion. Their blood is crying out. But beyond the fact that the blood is crying out, violence begets violence. If you look at how Sodom and Gomorrah degenerated, yeah, they were homosexuals, but they were violent. And they were ready to rape those angels. So now we've got somebody who's a public figure. And that's another important key point that Mark Dice brought up, was that it's one thing if a guy puts an effigy of George Bush being hung, just some random guy, or some random guy puts an effigy of Barack Hussein Obama being hung, right? An effigy speaking about, this president has committed treason. That's one thing. If it's just some guy, okay? But when you're a public figure and you are an anchor on a major network and you do it, then there are different rules that apply, okay? Because we expect propriety and intelligence and respect for the office. I'll be right back. What Would Mohammed Do? Islamic Terrorism Explained is the best movie series documentary ever produced on the life of Muhammad and Islam. How do I know? Because it's what critics are saying. John Moore, radio host and author, said, "I learned more from What Would Mohammed Do about Islam and Islamic terrorism than I've learned from everything I ever read and watched in my entire life." Best-selling author Dr. Bill Warner said, "What Would Mohammed Do is the best movie series, TV production on the life of Muhammad and Islamic terrorism that has ever been produced." Friends, this is what the experts are saying. No one has ever done what we've done. I encourage you to get 1, 2, 4 copies. Call 304-289-3700. That's 304-289-3700, or order it at the address or the website that you see on the screen. Friend, we have a series that will help you and those you love to have an impact on this country. It's called Insurrecta Nex. That's Latin for revolution against the killing of innocent people. This is the history, the philosophy, and the theology of social revolution in America. We look at the Stamp Act, the Boston Tea Party, the abolition of slavery, the abolition of child labor, women's voting rights, the civil rights movement. All of them have this in common: courage, sacrifice, dedication, and in-your-face tactics and rhetoric. That's one of the reasons that we've been losing the culture wars the last 40 years, is because the bad guys are using these tactics and we aren't. We will send you this 14-part TV series along with these manuals for students, a teacher's facilitator guide for only $40. go to 304-289-3700, 304-289-3700. So as we look at what Kathy Griffin did, and then we look at the reaction of the enemies of righteousness and the people who are ticking time bombs towards violence, that's why I believe that there's real danger in the future. Please understand that most of them, I'm going to cut with some broad swaths here, okay? Most of them support the brutal murder of babies, okay? I think abortion is no big deal. It's a woman's right. So they've already crossed a Rubicon in their soul. They've already crossed a line so heinous. The thought of killing a baby is okay with them. They change the words, they ignore the facts, they change the truth, but there's something so perverse in their brain that they would sign off on a physician who's turned into an assassin, literally sticking some instrument inside of a mother's womb, which should be the most sacred place in the world. Okay? Sticking something in her womb in unspeakable means, and murdering a human being made in the image of God. Killing. Murdering. They are supporters of murder. And so when she holds up the president's head and makes it a big joke, like decapitated by ISIS, and then the panel at CNN, and who knows what the people over at MSNBC are saying, I haven't watched it yet, but they're telling who they are. They believe in bloodshed for injustice. Okay, I make no bones about it. I believe in just war. I believe in bloodshed for righteousness. Whoso killeth a man, by man his blood shall be shed. That's what God said. That's what he told Noah when Noah got off the ark. He said if someone commits a murder, that victim is made in the image of God, and so you must shed the blood of the murderer. So I believe in shedding blood. That's not innocent blood. Okay? That's guilty blood. And therein lies the difference, friends. Justice. Good and evil. Whether someone deserves, by virtue of their being made in the image of God, deserves to be alive, or whether someone deserves, by virtue of them attacking the image of God, deserves to be dead. Attacking the image of God by killing another human being. So, just watch the reactions, and then you'll know what we're dealing with. In that way, in that light, and only in that light, this is an opportunity for us to know our enemy. To understand, because they are our enemies. Don't be mistaken. They are our enemies. And if you see somebody who does not condemn or just sloughs off what happened to, or what Kathy Griffin did, here's what you can know. If you cross them politically, it could be your head. It could be that they just hate you. They clearly hate what you stand for. Where do we go from here? The wise man sees danger approaching and prepares for it. The fool passes on and suffers. I mean, simple things. The simple things don't change. Okay? The ability to protect your family. The ability to see that there's danger coming. And then preparing for it. Can this country be brought back without bloodshed? Yes, it can. But it would require such a fierce repentance in the church. Fierce repentance. Beating breasts, wailing, begging God for forgiveness because of our cowardice and our neglect that allowed things to get this bad. Okay? This mess that we're in is largely due to the cowardice and the treachery of Christian leaders who tolerated the brutal murder of babies and then stood by when the homosexual marriage movement gained steam and got credibility. And now we're like sheep being led to the slaughter, people. And the enemies of righteousness, they're not the sheep in this story. They're the wolves. And they mean to eat us.